Welcome back to our channel. So in this video we are going to see about Snapdragon 8150. So what is Snapdragon 8150? In previous videos we were able to see like different series of Snapdragon, like our last video was about Snapdragon 700 series. So in this video we are going to see about the latest, the processor series, which is going to be unveiled on December 4th by Snapdragon. This Snapdragon 8150. This processor has created hype in the market regarding in the field of mobile processors as well as notebook processors. So let's see what is the information so far we have on Snapdragon 8150. First of all, it is rumored that Snapdragon 8150 has tri-cluster core design. So what is tri-cluster core design? So in early generation of processors, for example, a processor consists of several cores. It might be a quad core, it may be a dual core, it may be a hexa core, it may be a octa core, it may be a 10 core processor. So we have already seen in this in our another channel about the smartphone processor cores. So what do you mean by tri-cluster cores? In order to make the processor more efficient, the processor can be divided into clusters. For example, if your processor has octa-core, if your processor is octa-core processor, so it can be divided into two clusters containing 4 core each. So what is the difference between these clusters? These clusters, for example, let us consider a single cluster. A single cluster should always have the similar type of processing core. For example, if it is a Snapdragon Cryo 385 core, that means it should have the same Cryo 385 core in all the 4 cores in the same cluster. And it should also have the same base frequency. For example, if one cluster has 2.4 GHz, all the processing cores within the cluster must have 2.4 GHz, and it should be also of the same type. So Snapdragon 8150 is rumored to have tri-cluster core design. So let's see what is the tri-cluster cores available in Snapdragon 8150 later part. Okay, it is also expected to arrive in a smartphone brand like Motorola with the name Motorola Odin. That is a smartphone which is expected to ship with Snapdragon 8150, and it is expected to be unveiled on December 4, 2018. Okay, next, from the available benchmarks, we are able to see like it has 20% more performance boost compared to Snapdragon 845. Okay, as you already know, Snapdragon 845 is a dual cluster. It has 2 clusters. For example, a cluster containing Cryo 385, that is Cortex A75 based cores, which are clocked at 2.0 GHz, and another cluster containing the Cortex A55 cores, which are clocked at 1.7 GHz. So these are the 2 clusters available in Snapdragon 845. So let's see let's break down these rumors, or let's break down the possible information we have got so far on Snapdragon 8150. Okay, as you can see, Snapdragon 8150. The naming convention of Snapdragon is a little bit confusing. Even all the processor, like even Intel gives name to the processor, which is based on their model and their system of manufacturing the process. So it will be easy for them. Apart from this, it has no, as far as I know, there are no meaning to the naming of the processor. Okay, next let's see about the tri-cluster core or tri-cluster CPU design. So for example, to consider this, this is a simple schematic expression for the cluster design of Snapdragon 8150. So it is considered to have 4 core, one cluster containing 4 cores. These cores are known as silver cores, and the next another cluster containing 3 cores, 3 Cryo gold cores, and another one single cluster containing 1 single core, which is Cryo gold. So as far as we know, gold and silver, we don't know what does gold and silver mean. Like for example, gold might be of Snapdragon, Cortex A75 based custom cores, and silver might be of Cortex A55 based custom cores. So we are not sure of what architecture of the core which is being used in gold and silver. But as far as from the name, we can say that silver is somewhat lower in performance compared to gold. Okay. So in this 3 clusters, we can able to see, okay, first let's consider the low performance or low power cluster. Why it is called low power cluster? Because it is clocked at a lesser frequency of 1.8 GHz maximum frequency, and it has a cache of 128 KB per core. Okay, so there are 4 cores, then it means that each core has 128 KB of like what I can say, level 2 cache. Okay, well, as you already know, like level 2 cache plays an important role in like performance of the CPU, like the processing core. So it will be helpful in boosting the performance. Okay, apart from that is low power cluster, because I mean it can be used for the processors which are, what I can say, which are frequently used, so that it can reduce consume less power. Okay, let's come to the next cluster, which is made of cryo gold cores. Okay, which is clocked at a maximum frequency of 2.4 gigahertz, and it has a 256 KB cache per core. So this can be used for slightly heavy tasks like photo editing or video processing, something like that. Okay, apart from that, there is a prime cluster, which is known as cryo gold. This is a prime cluster, like it is a single separate cluster apart from other two, which is not connected, and it is clocked at a maximum frequency of 2.842 gigahertz, and it has a double cache of 512 KB. So it can be used for more intensive tasks and more repetitive intensive tasks. This cluster can be used for more repetitive and more intense tasks, and it's a very, I mean, it is clocked at 2.84 gigahertz, which means it is more power consuming. Okay, apart from that, as far as we know, like this Snapdragon 8150 is comparatively more powerful compared to Snapdragon 845. As I already told, Snapdragon 845 had two clusters. One cluster being clocked at 2.8 GHz containing 4 cores, another cluster being clocked at 1.7 GHz containing 4 cores. But in this case, you can see there are three different set of clusters clocked at three different frequencies. Based on these clusters might be utilized by the, what I can say, by the processor based on the system usage pattern. Okay, apart from this, we also know that other things included in this processor are other features we know about this processor. It is one of the processor made at 7 nanometer FinFET technology. So 7 nanometer, Snapdragon 845 was made on 10 nanometer FinFET technology, but this processor is made of 7 nanometer FinFET technology. So nowadays the processor size is getting reduced, and which means more efficient and less heat being produced. Apart from that, we have a dedicated NPU. NPU is a neural processing unit. Okay, in order to know information about NPU, GPU, and all these features of the processor, I have added a link in my description, as well as in the card, for the video which explains you all the informations about the processors in detail, like about the smartphone processors. Okay, apart from that, it is rumored that it will be upgraded to Snapdragon Adreno 640 GPU. Previously, like Snapdragon 845 had Adreno 630 GPU, so comparatively it should have higher performance compared to the previous Snapdragon 845 in terms of graphics processing. Okay, hope this information is sufficient for you guys, and let's see hope we can meet in the next video. After the unveiling of Snapdragon 8150, I'll be posting a detailed video explaining the features, the exact, correct and official features of Snapdragon 8150. Until then, it's bye. Thank you. Have a great day.